So, good evening, everyone. Myself, Jagruti, and I am from Opportune Technologies. And welcome to our today's webinar. As you all are aware that we are Opportune Technologies Private Limited, and we provide cloud-based and end-to-end HR solutions, which is used by over 300 plus clients and 3 lakhs plus users across India. And today, Opportune in association with PaceCare has organized this webinar for our esteemed client wherein PaceCare is India's first truly digital group insurance and benefit program. So, PaceCare provides a customer facing app to your employees for all their insurance needs and a comprehensive dashboard for all your HR needs that actually integrates with our HRMS software. So, today our speaker is going to explain you about all the essential requirement of you as a HRs to take care of employee needs. So yes, for that we have with us Ms. Harsha Modi. She is a lead consultant at PaceCare to host this session. Over to you, Harsha. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jagruti. Good evening, everyone. I am Harsha Modi, a lead consultant here at PassCare. And a quick introduction about myself. Being associated with PassCare over the years, I've successfully onboarded more than 100 businesses here at PassCare, where I've made sure that my clients have a seamless experience, also optimizing the employee benefits. And PassCare being the first digital group insurance platform, we make sure that's done via the entire seamless integration that we have with our HRMS tools at the same time with the insurers. To begin with, yes, what is a group health insurance? That's a short form to GHI, or what is a group medical insurance? It is basically an insurance that is provided by the employer to the employees. And this basically covers the medical and the hospitalization emergencies for the individuals. Just to run off, we have a quick poll. So would be happy if I could have everyone participating in this, where if you could just share your experience in terms of what do your employees want in benefits. This would help us in streaming and maybe structuring the entire conversation ahead. Would love to hear from you people what exactly benefits your employer. What do they think is a benefit in terms of the offerings that they're looking for? See, is it the policy that matters to them, or is it the in-office sessions that they're looking for, or regular checkups, or ease access to the insurance information is what your employees are looking for? A quick, if I could have everyone just help us with the understanding so that we could take the conversation ahead. Right. So I believe majority what we see here is say 83% of the employees are looking to have an ease access to the insurance. When we say an ease access to the insurance is easily available information for them in terms of the health cards, in terms of your policy inclusions and exclusions, in terms of where exactly are the network hospital lists, the cashless or reimbursement hospital lists that are there in and around their area. So we would be covering all these informations for you today. That would be the basic elements or what are the important elements as a part of the insurance. Important elements to start off with, we would begin with the policy type. Now, when we talk about the policy type, there are 3 different policy types that come into picture. One would be, say, an employee-only policy. Second would be an employee, spouse, and children policy that's covering their immediate dependents. And third would be your employee, spouse, children, parents policy. Now, ideally, what have we seen, or say in my experience with all the clients that I have onboarded, is when it is a startup, they want to start off with just covering the employees. Maybe, yes, a fair reason would be they want to understand how the policy would turn out or how the utilization looks for the year. Maybe they have the employees who've just started the career, could be the next option. And the third would be, say, they're just looking, maybe they have a budget set for the year and they do not want to exceed the budget, is where they just go ahead and have an employee-only policy. But as per the statistics, we see, say, an employee count of less than even 50 employees to that of more than 500 plus employees still offer an employee, spouse, and children policy. That's more than, say, about 50% of the organizations offer this kind of a policy, which again leads to a more pocket-friendly kind of a policy that we try to build for them. Say 8 out of 10 employees always look for something in terms of additional benefits. They look for additional perks. Say 6 out of 10 employees opt for, or say select the job opportunity that they get is on the basis of the perks that is offered. So ideally, say 50 to 70% of the market is offering an employee, spouse, and children policy for the employees and their immediate dependents. When we move to the next important element of a health insurance would be your maternity benefit. So maternity benefit has, say, four important elements attached to it, which would either increase your premium because every element comes with a certain loading from an insurance company. At the same time, all the four benefits, say when we talk about maternity, it includes the delivery cost for a normal or a C-section delivery. The second element to it would be, say, your pre and postnatal expenses. The third would be, say, in terms of your babies getting covered from day one. And the last would be the 9 months of waiting period in terms of maternity. So if you're offering a maternity benefit to your employees, by default, all these four elements go hand in hand, where we see 80% of the market is offering maternity benefit. Now, when we say we want to include maternity benefit, there are various options that would be available. Either you offer them a very low maternity benefit in terms of a 25,000 for a normal delivery, say 25,000 for a C-section delivery, or you give them, say, where 50% of the market is standing, 50,000 for a normal delivery and 75,000 for a C-section delivery. And there are organizations that go ahead and offer even 1 lakh for a normal and 1 lakh for a C-section. Now, when we say this or when we bifurcate it, as in when you increase your maternity benefit or the maternity limit, that definitely does add to your costing. But from an employee perspective or the market limit that is there, it is always suggested to have a maternity benefit that is somewhere around 50,000 to 75,000 for a C-section. And ideally, this with, say, almost 77% of the market agreeing that a maternity benefit over and above 50,000 is a decent coverage that you would be providing to your employees. I would be happy to take up any questions if you have for me, and would like to discuss few points if you have. Right. So I believe we can move on to the next element. The next element being the sum insured. So sum insured, say I have heard back from my clients saying, I want to give them a sum insured of 10 lakhs. I want to give them a sum insured of 15 lakhs, a sum insured of 5 lakhs. But when it comes to offering the sum insured, there are three good or say three market power sum insureds that you can offer your employees, again, depending on how the utilization of your policy is. For example, if you're a first-time user of a policy, we would take at least a year to understand how my employees or how the employees are actually utilizing the policy. So to start off with, a 3 lakh of sum insured where say 32% to 35% of the companies are currently offering being a 3 lakhs of sum insured. When we talk about, say, giving them a 5 lakhs of sum insured, 5 lakhs of sum insured is a good decent sum insured that you were offering. But at the same time, when we look for the costing perspective from an organization point of view, it is always suggested to first understand how the utilization looks and then maybe say year on year, if required, increase the sum insured. Else, say, if I have to talk about an average claim size that an employee or one employee makes in a year is not more than 1.8 lakhs a year. So say even giving them a 2 lakhs of sum insured, 2 to 3 lakhs of sum insured is a very good coverage that you would be offering to your employees. Could we please have the poll up? Where do your employees get confused with respect to insurance? Is it, say, downloading the health cards? Is it the policy inclusions and exclusions? Is it the network hospital list? Is it, say, how do I raise a claim? Are your employees aware as to what exactly is the policy coverages? Are they aware? Are they educated? If you could please have an understanding on that. Right. So I believe it is clearly visible that employees are not aware about what the policy inclusions and exclusions look like. They definitely come back to you as an HR please give me my policy terms and conditions. What is included in my policy? What is not included in my policy? Could you please help me in understand how do I raise a claim? Can you help me with the claim forms? These are few questions that the employees definitely come back to you asking for, and say, keeping this in mind and how to raise a claim is where we try to bring a seamless process for you, where the employees have everything handy in with them, and they do not reach back to you at any point of time. Moving on to the next important element would be the room rent. Now, when we talk about the room rent, there are ideally three cappings that come in a room rent category. One would be 1% of the SI for a normal room rent, and 2% of SI being the sum insured for an ICU limit. Second would be the 2% and 4%, and lastly would be no capping. When, say, having 100 plus clients onboarded, I have always seen when the clients have taken the policy for the very first time, they always have a no capping on the room rent. That's because either they are not educated on the room rent and they go ahead and they see that, okay, it's a very elaborate term and condition that I'm giving my employee. They're going to be very happy with it. They go ahead and they offer that. But just with the stats that are there, say, in a metro and a non-metro city, for example, considering Bangalore, 80% of the hospitals in Bangalore have, say, the rooms starting at rupees 3,000, 3,500 to that of going up to, for a non-metro city, 1,500, 1,800. So say giving a 2% and a 4% of room rent is a very decent coverage that you would give. As an employee, when they go ahead to the hospital, they raise a claim, they are not aware as to how the room rent looks like. They want to have a seamless process when they go ahead for a claim, and they go ahead and they submit the documents to the hospitals. Hospitals are not incentivized. Hospitals and the TPAs want to bill the highest amount, and that's where, say, they go ahead and they propose to the employees saying that I have a suite that's available, maybe you can go ahead and you can get admitted in that. Employees very happy, go ahead and they take up that. Just that one costing of, say, 10,000 or 12,000 gets accumulated in your claims next year. Provided that employee having a capping of 2% and 4%, say considering a 3 lakhs of sum insured that you're giving, could have easily enjoyed this for the next couple of days rather than just going in a one-shot room rent that they go ahead. So it is always suggested to cap your room rent to 2% and 4%, 2% being for your normal room and 4% being for your ICU. Copay. So any questions for me so far in terms of, say, the sum insured, the room rent, or say the maternity benefit that you might want to ask, or say any queries that you have heard from your employees that you would want to discuss? Would be happy to take up. Please feel free to put it down on the chat box and I would take it up from there. Right. So to move on with the next element, say we have copay. Now, what exactly is copay? Copay is a portion where it's paid by the employees and the remaining is paid by the employees. Now, from an employee perspective, when they see that there is no copay in the policy terms, they go ahead, fair enough, for a parental claim, they go file a claim, and the hospital then puts it out to them saying that there's a 10% of copay on the parental claim that you have. When they're taken aback saying that, okay, 10% out of a 1 lakh claim that I'm doing would be paid by me, is when the employees also know that the policy gives them a benefit, not a luxury. So 89% of the organizations do not offer, say, a copay, where it is always suggested to have copay between 10 to 20%. Now, this is subjective to parental claims. Why for parental claims? Because you would have 80% of your claims that would be, say, accounted on behalf of parents year on year. So it is highly recommended to have a 10 to 20% of copay, where the risk is shared by the employee at the same time by the insurance company and does not get accumulated for you as an organization year on year. When we move to the additional benefits, there have been two such elements that have always been, say, unnoticed by the organizations. Yes, when you start up fresh, take a policy for the very first time, you are not aware about few terms and conditions to start off with on disease-wise limit. So anytime or every time that I go ahead, I see clients who would have just paid hardly, say, 1 lakh or 2 lakhs to take a policy last year have, say, claims worth of almost close to 5 lakhs or 6 lakhs, which is an employee, spouse, and children policy and parents policy. So in this case, there is no dizzy-wise capping. Dizzy-wise, just a minute. Right. So to explain what is copay, copay is basically a portion that is paid by the employee and the balance is paid by the insurance company. So if I have a copay of 10% as a part of the policy on parental claims, that would mean if Harsha as an employee is going ahead today, she has a claim for her parent worth of 1 lakh. 10% would be borne by Harsha. That is, 10,000 would be borne by Harsha and the 90,000 would be paid by the insurance company. So what gets recorded to your organization would be 90,000 and not 1 lakh. So this basically streamlines your next year's claim and also controls the claims that are going to come year on year by your employees. I hope that gives you an explanation on copay. Right. So when we come about the additional elements, it is always unnoticed by the organizations that take up a policy for the very first time. They are not aware about terms and condition, neither are the, say, insurers or the vendors out there trying to put it out to them what exactly each and every term and condition means. So what exactly is a disease-wise limit? Disease-wise limit is basically for all those, say, diseases that are not life-threatening. For example, cataract, for example, joint replacement or appendix. All of these can be capped, especially when you have parents as a part of the policy, because this is not seen in the younger generation as compared to the people who are, say, at the age of our parents, where one cataract claim for the year, if you have no disease-wise capping, would lead to your claims again increasing for the year, where your premiums would tend to increase, adding cost to you. Now, how does that happen? Today, I go for a cataract surgery for a parent. Definitely not both the eyes would be done together. I just go for one of the eyes where, say, they tell me the hospitals, again, not being incentivized for it, would tell me that there is, say, a normal basic lens would cost me in Bangalore 25,000. I go ahead and I say, ask for the claim. I tell them, okay, this is what the entire situation is. They go ahead and they bill me for 50,000, where they say there is no capping on cataract. They would say, okay, Harsha, I'm upgrading you from a normal lens to a Japanese lens. That would cost me somewhere around 55,000. Again, that accumulates to your claims next year, to your cost next year. So ideally, it is suggested to have a capping on the major diseases. Now, again, this is not something that is set by us as a vendor or by the insurance company. It is set as per the market limits that are there. For example, you can definitely reach out to that of your vendors. You could reach out to that of your insurance company and you can ask them, can you help me with the disease-wise limit as per the market? And every insurance company or every vendor can produce the same with you. So if you would see cataract has a no capping, you can cap it to 30,000. If joint replacement has no capping, you can definitely cap it to 1 lakh or 1.5 lakhs. Additionally to this, say, as we discussed in the earlier poll, mentioned that employees are looking for health checkups, employees are looking for benefits that are given to them. They want additional perks to come out. And say, not having these perks are not included as a part of the insurance policy, because insurance policy just covers your medical and your hospitalization. But over and above, say, just your doctor consultations or the ultrasound, all these are something that could be packaged and given to your employees for the entire year. Say, where you start your preventive medical care. That is a step closer to your employees not getting hospitalized or not requiring the medical hospitalization that is required. So it is always suggested to have a doctor consultation, health checkups, again, at a very minimum price. It is not something that comes with a lot of cost in the market, but something that would benefit your employees as well as their dependents. Could we have the other poll, please? Right. Another, when it comes to the employee happiness, so if you could just help us in understanding on the scale of 1 to 10, what exactly or how exactly are your employees happy with the benefits that you're offering them in the organization? maybe this is because of, say, the insurance that you're providing them, or in terms of the additional well-being that you're bringing into the employees by having sessions conducted at your offices, or having, say, health checkups conducted at your office premises, or providing them with complimentary health checkups or fitness plans, anything in those lines. Right. So I have a question in the chat box from Vikash, which says that in maternity, it is always seen that the insurance company generally covers 50 to 75K, most of them at 50K. But when you see the hospital bill, it charges in surgery case is generally close to 1 lakh. And if twins, then it is double the amount. Do you have any option of taking 1 lakh, or capping always fixed at rupees 50,000? So again, when we talk about taking a maternity benefit for the very first time, uh, it is suggested to start off with 50,000 for a normal delivery and 75,000 for a C-section delivery. Say year on year, as you see the utilization, maybe this year you would understand that there was one claim that was close to 1 to 1.5 lakhs, and say that just got approved up to 75,000, is where next year you could increase your limit to 1 lakh. It is always suggested to first understand what your employees are actually utilizing, then giving them the entire luxury rather than just the benefit that they're looking in the market. Yes, there is an option to increase the limit year on year as and when you renew your policy. And in terms of, say, capping, you can definitely ask your insurer or the vendor to help you out with the list of, say, the non-accounted items that are not a part of your bills. Say in terms of the syringes, in terms of the cottons, all these are something that are not accounted. So you can definitely ask your insurer and your vendors to help you out with the list of those items that will not get covered as a part of the claims. I hope that that answers, Vikash, or should I repeat it? So moving on to the employee happiness, yes, on the scale of 1 to 10, we see, say, employees are almost close to, say, 40% of them are satisfied. Now, when it comes to satisfied, this could be on various grounds. It is just the insurance that you're providing them. Is it with their parents as well that you're providing them? Say, do they have the information that is available? Are they also having, say, health checkups or any other employee benefits that are getting accounted for them in the entire year? We have another question from Yashada. That's employee wants OPD charges to be covered in health insurance. There are two aspects to this. One, say if you want OPD to be covered as a part of an insurance where the utilization of OPD is very minimum. So when an insurer covers OPD, he usually just covers the bare minimum OPD cost of, say, if there's a burn, you can go ahead and you can get yourself clean for that. If there is any kind of a cut, you would be covered as a part of the policy. But when it comes to designing an OPD coverage, it is always suggested to have, say, doctor consultations. It is always suggested to have something that would benefit your employees in terms of cashless and reimbursement. Yes, 90% if you include it as a part of the insurance would just lead to a reimbursement claims. When it comes to OPD, employees want it to be more seamless. So it is, say, suggested to have plans that would be cashless at the same time reimbursement. When you go for an external OPD plan, firstly, it does not impact your insurance claim year on year. Second, the utilization of it increases because you bring in doctor consultations, which could be in person or online. You also bring in health checkups that could be a home sample collection for the employees and their dependents. At the same time, you could also also bring in, say, a psychiatric treatment for them. You bring in mental wellness sessions, which would cost you more in an insurance, also utilized less by the employees, but giving them a separate coverage of an OPD would give them more beneficial, and also you would see the utilization increasing for the same. I hope, Yashada, that gives a clarity on OPD charges. Right. So quickly to bring in how PassCare comes into a role where we try to simplify and make it more seamless process for your employees is with the claim ratio that we have. Yes, at PassCare, we have a 95% of claim settlement ratio. This is just by, say, bringing the settlement time of all your claims that we have. That is via a seamless integration with the insurers that is there. We have, say, a WhatsApp chat available to your employee 24/7. We also have, say, raise the claim option that makes it very easy and simple for your employees. That leads to no paperwork involved over here. So as mentioned, say employees have the query on how do I raise the claim? Can you help me with the claim form? That's where the application makes it easier for the employees. All they have to do is they have to choose what kind of a claim are they going for. Is this a cashless claim, or is it an emergency claim, or a reimbursement claim? So they choose the option, they choose the member that they would who's getting admitted, and they upload the documents via the application. And just like your Swiggy and Zomato order, everything is tracked to an employee and to you as an HR, where you know, okay, if Harsha has raised a claim today, what is the status? Is it in process? Is there any queries that are raised? Further to which, is it approved or is it rejected? Many a times employees go ahead, scan documents and forget to submit. So it leads to an uninitiated claim. So you as an HR are also aware that how many uninitiated claims are there, how many employees are yet to file the claims. That makes it a more simpler and an easy process for your employees here at PassCare. Moving on to the policy benchmarking. So policy benchmarking is something that year on year, I would highly recommend organizations to go ahead and have with in terms of what you're offering and in terms of what your peers are offering in the market. Now, policy benchmarking would just give you a clarity as to the sum insured, the maternity benefit, the copay. Are these benchmarked with the peers in the market, or are we somewhere still on a lower side of offering that we have? Say having more than 1,500 plus policies that PassCare has placed with, as mentioned, we've seen an average claim size per employee per year, not more than 1.18 lakhs. That's 1.2 lakhs, not more than that. So a decent coverage of, say, 3 lakhs also is a very good coverage that you give your employees. Say having an employee spouse and children policy also getting in place and also giving them this additional optimized policy for the employees. So always benchmarking your policy with your peers would be highly recommended year on year for you to understand what is the market offering, what are you offering, and how could you make it better for your employees in terms of their benefits. Now that we know what a policy benchmarking is or what a particular term means, sum insured, maternity, putting all this in place, having a structured policy, it is always, say, you would have to have a right insurance company doing this entire work for you. That could only be done with the three factors in terms of, say, having a good claim settlement ratio, network hospital list, cashless, and reimbursement. How does the process flow work for them? Many a times, say, a very good startup who's just come with a little employee strength always asks, what is the claim settlement ratio? What is the network hospital list? These two are the major factors to choose your insurance companies out there. There are 30 insurance companies out there, but out of those 30, which is suited for your organization should be your question. That can only be determined with these factors. When we talk about, say, cashless is to reimbursement, year on year, when you analyze your policy, you should always understand that are there more cashless claims or a reimbursement claim? When there are more reimbursement claim in an ideal market, say a 10 to 12% of a reimbursement claim is a decent, a good insurance company that you have. We cannot say that there'll be zero reimbursement claim, but yes, there would be claims where a 10 to 12% is a good reimbursement claims that you can have from a good insurance company. But having a claim settlement ratio somewhere between 96% to 98% is a good insurance company. Now, again, this varies year on year for all the insurance companies. Sometimes you might see ICICI Lombard at a 98%. Next year, you might see him coming down to a 97%. Care Health coming to an 98%, sometimes coming down to 97%. So claim settlement ratio, a good, decent range would be somewhere around 96% to a 98%. When we talk about the network hospital lists, all the network hospital list or all the insurance companies have starting at 7,000, going up to 10,000 plus network hospital list. But additionally to this, we should also keep in mind that all the insurance companies have started the Anywhere Cashless facility for your planned ailments. So 7,000 to an 8,000, or if an insurance company just has a 7,000 network hospital list, is also a very good insurance company to go ahead and opt for. Again, when it comes to your cashless and reimbursement process, you should make sure that say the cashless process, say if we say 2 to 3 hours is a decent coverage that they bring in, or they help you in solving your cashless claims. When it comes to your reimbursement claims, similarly, it should be less than 15 days that you should look for your insurance company having. Any questions for me so far? Would be happy to take it up. Please feel free to reach out on the chat box. Right. So to quickly start off with, definitely we have people joining in who are going to take up the policy for the very first time. We have people who are experienced in this industry. So how do you calculate your insurance premium? Your finance team would come back to you asking, I'm preparing the budget for the year. Can you please let me know how much would be the insurance charge for the year? Very easy, a very simple calculation that you could do. It would be your claims, whatever has happened throughout the year, plus the life increase. For example, the claims were 10 lakhs for the year. You had 100 employees last year. Again, you have 100, you have 200 employees this year. That's almost 100% growth that you see. So you can at least load a 50% from an insurer perspective. So that would be close to, again, somewhere around 20 lakhs, 20 lakhs plus another, say, 3 loadings by default that happens year on year. That would be, say, your IBNR. IBNR is your incurred but not reported claims. Now, again, if you have claims worth of 10 lakhs, there would definitely be certain claims that are still outstanding. That is due to your pre and post hospitalization. Even after your expiry, those claims could get, say, approved even after you renew your policy with someone else or with some other insurance company. To cover that risk, an insurance company puts an IBNR. Medical inflation for India currently is 14%, which keeps changing year on year, and a TPA charge. So for TPA, be it an external or an internal TPA, you would always have a TPA charge which goes by default. So another 10% you could load. So your premium for the year, say your claims that are 10 lakhs with a 50% increase, with a 100% increase in life, taking a 50% loading of that, that would lead to 20 lakhs. And with the 10% of IBNR would lead to close to 22 lakhs would be the premium for the year. And you can simply request your finance team for a budget of 22 lakhs. So this makes it very easier for you as an HR, for you as a management team to understand how the premiums for the year would look. And yes, you would approach various vendors out there. While you approach them, while they share the quotations to you from different insurance company, you can always say the claims for the year are, for example, 10 lakhs. The increase in life loading should have been 50%. What is the loading that you're considering? What is the loading that you're considering for your medical inflation, for your TPA charges, and for your IBNR? It makes it easier for you to ask questions to your insurance companies and the vendor who you've approached for the year. So would just like to discuss two important case studies over here, which would give you a clarity on the entire discussion that we have had in terms of the important elements of a group health insurance. To start off with, this is one of our leading D2C brands that we are serving since the incorporation of PassCare, which has an employee, spouse, and children policy. Now, when we talk about the OPD was never a part of the policy where we recommended them to introduce OPD, because OPD is basically your outpatient. OPD is basically your outpatient, where you try to maybe cover benefits that are not part of your health insurance. When we say this, cover as a part of your health insurance would be, say, to have your doctor consultations, to have your ultrasounds covered as a part of the policy, as mentioned. Having a separate OPD plan makes it easier for your employees to actually use the benefit, because having it a part of your insurance does not usually lead to the optimal utilization of OPD. Recommendation, yes, it would be a little expensive to include it as a part of the insurance, but when you take it out through an additional vendor, or when you take it up as a separate benefit for your employees, it would barely cost you, say, half of what you would pay in your as a part of the insurance. At the same time, your daycare procedure again depends from insurer to insurer, and 100% of the policies cover it. So whenever you want to understand the daycare treatment, you can definitely ask the insurance company, kindly give me the daycare list, the daycare treatment list, so that even we can understand what is covered and what is not covered as a part of the daycare treatment. Moving on to the room rent capping. Yes, in the room rent capping, as mentioned, 80% of the metro cities, for a normal room is not more than 3,000, and for a non-metro cities, it is not more than 1,500 to 1,800. So it is always recommended to cap your room rent to 2% and 4% so that it is not misutilized by the hospitals as they are not incentivized. Both your hospitals and the TPAs are always told to bill on the highest amount, and they go ahead and they push your employees for the highest room that is available in the at the hospital, and which would in return lead to your costing or your claims increasing next year while you renew your policy. Moving on to the maternity benefit or the maternity aspects, 4 out of 10 companies offer below par. When I say below par, it is 20,000 for a normal delivery, 20,000 for a C-section delivery, or 25,000 for a normal delivery, 30,000 for a C-section delivery, which is, yes, below the par. It is recommended, as mentioned, say 80 to 85% of the organizations give a 50,000 for a normal delivery and 75,000 for a C-section delivery. And say next year, if you want to increase this, it can be increased, but depending how the utilization for maternity looks for the current year. IVF, yes, IVF is also included within the maternity limit for the organizations when you build a policy. And this comes with a very bare minimum cost, does not add much to your premium. Just by changing these few terms and conditions for our D2C brand, we were able to reduce, say, 5.6 lakhs, which led to a saving of 5.6 lakhs for them, and also getting a cost reduced by almost 15%. Now, when we say this 5.6 lakhs is definitely not a small amount that we are looking for, and any organization would want to do that and also enhance the benefits for the employees. Moving on to the second case study that we have, it's for a major SaaS company that we are currently with. Say that they have an employee, spouse, children, parents policy. Now, when parents are included as a part of the policy, modern treatments also do come as a part of the policy. That say 2 out of 10 employees claim for modern treatments. At the same time, organizations, these benefits come as a default benefits. Now, it is always 25% of the SI is capped in your modern treatments. That is easily available under the special conditions of any insurance policy terms and conditions. With respect to your chemo, with respect to your robotic surgeries, these are benefits that are capped to 25% because by default, none of the insurance companies would want to cover such an expensive treatment. So they cap it down to 25%. Another benefit being the Ayush coverage, the Ayurvedic treatment. Yes, say 60-70% of the policies have Ayush treatment by default. Again, when you ask your insurance company or when you ask your vendor, please ask for them all the hospitals that have the Ayush treatment that would be available, because it's usually provided by the government accredited hospitals. Now, when we talk about, say, your Ayush treatments are by default a 25% of the SI is covered in the Ayush treatments. And when we move to LGBTQ cover, yes, insurance company do cover this without any additional loading as a part of the policy. Copay, again, since they had parents also included, as mentioned, say 11% of the companies only offer copay. 80% of the companies still don't offer copay. It is always suggested to cap it up to 10% so that the risk is borne by the employees and the insurance company, and it is not solely borne by the organization when they go ahead and they renew the policy next year. Again, when it comes to copay, it is capped for modern treatments as well. And this capping is for the metro cities that we have. Moving on to the disease limit, as disease limits are basically for, say, those disease limits are opted for those where you do not have a life-threatening disease involved for it. Again, it is always suggested to cap it as per the market requirement. So you can always get a list. So for example, if your disease-wise has no capping, you can procure the list for that. And you can also ask how much limit has your current insurance capped it up to? Is it say 30,000, or is it say 40,000 or 50,000? That would give you an understanding on the utilization that would come throughout the year. And say just by making these few terms and conditions changed for the SaaS company that we work with, we had say reduced the future premium cost over time to 22%. Now, how did we arrive at this 22%? Was say working with them year on year, understanding the policy structure, benchmarking the policy, understanding their requirements is where we were able to approach at this 22%. And their comprehensive benefit package that they had made for the employees had led to finally a lowest attrition rate in the industry. Right. Could we have the poll, please? Right. So which month does your current policy expire? The only reason for asking this is so that we can definitely connect in the coming months and we can try to understand how do we make your policy a better structured policy, help you out with the benchmarking report, and also say having benefits placed for your employees. Meanwhile, yes, please feel free to put down the questions on the chat box. I would be happy to take that ahead. Any questions in terms of the benefits that you might want to have for your employees, or say in terms of the coverages that you might want me to re-walk you through, would be happy to take it up. Please feel free to put it on the chat box. Can you please explain again the computation of premium? Sure. Any more answers for the renewal month would you like to put down so that we could connect and maybe have a detailed discussion on your policy benchmarking, your analysis for the year? Right. So to quickly walk you through, Yashada, on how the computation of premium happens for the year, it is basically the claims that have incurred during the year. So for example, if for this year, your claims are close to 10 lakhs, plus if there is an increase in life. For example, you had 100 employees last year, and again, this year you have 200 employees. That's again a 100% increase in life that you have. Insurance company would take half loading for the increase in life that you have. So it's a 100% increase in life, half of it makes it 50%. So you could load 50% on the 10 lakhs, that would make it close to again 20 lakhs, plus the medical inflation. Medical inflation for India is 14%, plus your IBNR, that is incurred but not reported claims. All those outstanding claims that might get, say, approved even after your renewal, they cover that risk, and plus the TPA charges, be it an internal or an external TPA. Together, you can load 10%. So that makes it 22 lakhs for that makes it a 22 lakhs premium that you can maybe present it to your finance team. This is what would be the budget that is required for the year for renewing the health insurance. That's your incurred claim plus the increase in life plus the medical inflation, your IBNR, and your TPA charges. Together, you can load again a 10%. I hope that clears your query, Yashada. Koshi, how long does it take? How long does it typically take to process a premium claim? So say when it comes to a cashless claim, if you submit your health e-cards, it gets processed within 2 to 3 hours. But when it comes to a reimbursement claim, be it say a plan, when it comes to a planned one or an emergency claim, the employees would have to say upload the documents so that it's verified by the insurance companies and the TPS, and the TAT should be less than 15 days to get the entire process claimed and have the reimbursement claims say processed to the employee. Are there any additional benefits or options available that could help manage my premium or claims more effectively. Additional benefits or options. So to maybe start off with, in terms of additional benefits or the options, the only way is when you have an option to monitor how the claims are happening, how your employees are claiming for, how say the cashless or reimbursement tax look like, is where you would be able to manage. So say the dashboard that we have over here easily manages the entire process for you, where you know if the start of the year you've paid a certain amount, during the year claims have amounted to 10 lakhs. The dashboard clearly gives you a picture on the same, where you can understand how the premium for next year would closely look like. As I gave you the calculation for the premium calculation for year on year, the dashboard also gives you an understanding on that. I hope, Koshi, that clears your query. So please feel free to use the chatbot to put in your questions. I would be happy to take up your questions. Any query in terms of the elements, the important elements of a policy? How do I shortlist this? How do I understand, say, the best insurance company out there, the claim settlement, cashless? Any queries, please feel free to use the chatbot.
அந்த பையன் இருந்தான், அவனுக்கு எல்லாரையும் தெரியும். ஒண்ணு என்ன அப்பாவை எல்லாரும் அந்த பையன் இருந்தான். இதெல்லாம் புதுசு அப்ளை பண்ணி வாங்கிக்கோங்க.
Okay, so Harsha, I can't see any question left yet.
Yeah, Jagriti.
No problem. So thank you, Harsha, for this wonderful session. Actually, this is very much informative, and also would like to thank all our participants for their time and participation. I hope participants has also gained lot of knowledge out of it. So if anybody has any question, they can please feel free to ask, or you can drop a question in the chat box. We can wait, Harsha, for 2 more minutes, and we can end the session.
We'll wait for another 5 minutes. Please feel free to
No
reach
problem.
on the chat box, or please, I think then fine.
Yeah.
What is the best insurance company in the market now? So again, Koshi, over here, as mentioned, there are 30 insurance companies out there. It is always suggested for you as an HR to please go back, understand how the claim settlement of the insurance company looks like, how the network hospital of the insurance companies look like. So anywhere starting at a 96% to a 98% claim settlement ratio is a very good insurance company that you can have. At the same time, having, say, a network hospital list between 7,000 to 10,000 is a very good insurance company that you can go ahead and look to have the policy with. Public or private sector, which one can we opt for? So over here, Rakesh, there are two understandings that you can have, be it a public or a private. So if you're just starting your journey, and if you have employee count, say, less than 500 or 200, you have good private insurance companies that would cover your employees. When it comes to, say, moving to a public sector, say, if you're looking to work with the New India or Oriental, these are also good insurance company, because they have a limit that they will not write a policy for less than 100 employees. So over and above 100 employees is something that they also would like to quote with. And every public insurance company, say, has a limit to the claims that come in, or the claim ratios for the year look like. So according to your current policy or the renewal of your policy, they decide if they are supposed to go ahead and quote for you or are they not supposed to quote for you. So public has few say drawbacks as well in terms of will they quote, how aggressive will they be? And yes, if you're taking a fresh policy for more than 100 plus employees, it is a good start to have with the public sector as well. But yes, I believe private insurers have also been very competitive, and the process and the technology that they've started using has made it more streamlined as compared to a public sector. Thank you so much, Suraj. I hope it answers your question, Rakesh. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Suchi. Any other questions that you would have for me? Please feel free to reach out to the chat box and drop in your queries. Thank you so much, Yashada.